So the last speaker before the lunch break, Julia, thanks. Julia Priess-Buchheit, is that very good? Okay, perfect. Thank you for coming to the Netherlands. You are a professor of education and didactics at the University of Applied Sciences in Coburg. And her expertise is in learning ethics and integrity and in social technologies. And her research has an international focus and systematically investigates citizen education and professionalization in contemporary societies. And together with Mariette, she will set up the Network for Education in Research Quality. So, once again, thanks for coming, and the floor is yours.
So, yeah, thank you for inviting me and introducing me. So, when Mariette invited me to talk here, I checked my calendar, and I saw, oh, yeah, that's a good time, because I'm going to be back from my holidays from Italy. I'm going to be relaxed, I'm going to be a bit brown for you, yeah. And then I can tell you about Path to Integrity and the results we did in the last 3.5 years with the project. So it got a bit more complicated in the last few days. I'm going to tell you a little story before I start with the results. Yeah. A story about my holiday and actually my experience about teaching and learning in my holidays. So you have to know, my family contains 4 people, so 2 adults and 2 children. And the children are getting older and older each year, as you know, yeah? And they speak up now. So when we decided where to go, you have to know they inherited a really sportive character of my husband. They said, oh, this year we are going to make extreme sport, wing and kite surfing. And I was like, what? Are you crazy? I was like, no. Okay, and there are 3, I'm 1. So you can imagine, at the end, I was sitting at the beach, yeah, and they said, oh, Julie, Mom, this is your camp now. You can do windsurfing every day. I was like, thank you very much. So what I actually experienced was, I'm still wondering about if there are hopeless cases in learning, yeah, and about this prevalence of enlightenment in teaching. So what happened? They got me a trainer. His name was Phil, 28 years old. You just imagine, I'm not going to go on it, yeah? I was like, hello, Phil. And Phil was like, hey, Julia, okay, I'm going to teach you how to windsurf. I was like, okay, thank you. So what do you have to do? You just stand here, you observe what I do. I'm going to show you on the water, and then I come out, and then you do it. Okay. So he showed me, I observed, yeah, then I got on the water. I really tried, and Phil was shouting over the complete beach, Julia, you're doing good, yeah, you're doing good, just keep on doing it. Yeah. And after 30 minutes, my legs were trembling, my arms were hurting, I was like, please, Phil, please, yeah. And he was like, no problem, you come back tomorrow. Yeah. It's like, okay. Next day, second day. And I saw in his face, he changed tactics now, yeah. So what he did is, he showed me on the beach in the sand, wind, you have to do this, like this, and this, until I said, yes, okay, I understand. Okay, then do it. So I went on the board, in the water, I tried, 30 minutes, my legs trembling, my arms really hurt, I was like, Phil, please. And he was like, you're really good, Julia, you're so good. Oh. Day 3, day 4, day 5, like my children and my husband, like winging, waving, yeah, and I'm trying here. So then day 14, flight home. No, there's a pilot strike in Italy. So we stay 4 days longer. Day 15, 16, 17, yeah. So what happened on the day 17? I greet Phil, I go on the water, he screams, Julia, you're doing so good, yeah. So what changed is I could do it for 1 hour, yeah, for 1 hour, but then I said, okay, I'm sorry, I have to go out. And I went out, I was standing there, and my son comes up to me and mumbles something. I was like, what did you say? He said, Mom, I really think Phil is the most polite person I've ever known. And I asked him, why? Oh, Mom, he screams more than 14 days. Julia, you're doing good. You know it's not good. So his judgment, okay, I know I'm not good in windsurfing. I really tried. So I thought about maybe there are hopeless cases in learning. I am an example in sports. And maybe enlightenment is not everything in teaching. You know what? When we left for the airport, Phil came up to me and said, oh, I'm so grateful that you're coming back next year. Your husband told me. I was like, us? Ooh, we do? Yes. And Julia, I promise you, next year, you're going to wing with your family. It's not going to be a problem. Yeah. So we will see. And I do not know. Yeah. I know that was not evidence-based. It was not even research-based. It's just a story I tell. Yeah. And I will show you now the results we have in teaching and learning research integrity. But just keep in mind, enlightenment is not always the big point. So, I'm talking about on behalf of the P2I consortium. I'm only one person of a really big consortium. We finished in June this year, so I tried to sum up the most relevant results we have now. And here they are, actually. So we have one result which says, okay, we have to take, or we have to be careful from which angle we look at research integrity education, because there are two angles we can look at it. The first one is research education, and I think this is the most common and traditional way to look at research integrity education. It's when you want to enhance the quality of future researchers and you want to do responsible conduct of research. On the other hand, we have a citizen education angle. This one is different. Yeah? It's not about the future researcher. It's more about the people. We also educate our students to be citizens. Yeah? And here it's more about that reliable research results are important for our society. So it's not about producing research results. It's more about asking for reliable research results. Yeah, so these are two different. I will go into detail in the talk. You know? This was the first main result, and the second one is down here, that actually research integrity training in the traditional sense of research education only is only successful when it is combined with research practice. Okay, let's see. So when we started, we realized we were not the only project. As you can see, it's on the Path to Integrity website too. You can have a look there. So we had the sister project of Mariette, the Integrity Project. Eneri network was already established. The Embassy of Good Science, I think it was right in the process of becoming. And there was the Virtue Project. So a lot of things were happening when we started in the year 2019, and there was a lot of learning material already in the world and in the net. Also, when we looked in the desk research on, okay, what would be the best way to learn and teach research integrity, we could see that there's this mainstream of, okay, it should be student-centered, it should be playful, it should be learner-focused, and it should be tailored intervention. It was not that there was a lot of evidence, but when you read the literature, you could see, okay, this is the direction research integrity education is going. The status quo right now, how I would explain or show it, is that the question of what type of research integrity training, if any, works, is not answered yet. It is a quote from Stanek, I think out of the year 2006, but I still would use it. Path to Integrity showed that successes and failures in learning research integrity are actually in line with the status quo when we look at the literature of others, that research integrity training is not always successful. So there are studies which show that research integrity training has a negative effect. We in Path to Integrity also had these courses. We had courses, we measured pre, we measured post, and we saw afterwards worse. Yeah, we're like, oh my God, yeah, how am I going to do that as a coordinator? So the third one is Path to Integrity describes a research education and a citizen education approach, as I just said. As I just said too, is that research practice is important, and it should be included in all qualification cycles. So you have to know Path to Integrity had a really broad target group. We designed and trained we designed material and trained secondary school students older than 16 up to PhD students. So we had secondary school students, bachelor, master, and PhD students, and some researchers. So what did we do? So we worked for 3.5 years. This is our material. I don't know if you know it. It's called the Path to Integrity Learning Card Program because it's written on these learning cards with different topics. We also have this online learning platform, which is still running. So if you want, you can use it and you can have a look at it. And everything is freely available. We, in the years from 2019 to 2022, we trained around 1,400 international participants. Yeah. In the Path to Integrity training, and the Path to Integrity training concentrates on conducting dialogues on the acceptance or the rejections of norms in research integrity. So the complete training is about talking about difficult decisions, talking about how to do research responsibly, and is about to justify the right way. We used the Kirkpatrick's 4 level of evaluation, so we tested the reaction right after the training, we tested the learning output, and we actually tested behavior by conducting focus groups 6 months after the training. So you see it was extensive evaluation done by the team of Kiel University. The important part is that we had these 3 different pillars which went down, and we used the results actually to improve the Path to Integrity Learning Card program in the first 2 years, and we also used it to make then general results now to improve the knowledge about the field. Down there you see the tools which we developed. The Path to Integrity questionnaire was just mentioned in the previous talk. And everything actually is accessible now, so you can download at Zenodo, you can download all the tools, and you also can download the data sheets which we collected, and you can use the Path to Integrity questionnaires when you contact the Kiel team, because the questionnaire is running on the Kiel server. So at the end, we had this open data collection with these 3 different pillars running down. And what we actually did is we were quite reluctant to formulate hypotheses. I know it's not, we can discuss this a long time, But we did, I was for hypothesis, but the Kiel team said no. It's a new tool. It's so different, the context is so different, so just let go with the data, and we are going to look at it, and we're going to look at what really springs out. So it's no hypothesis testing. What did we see when we looked at the data? We are now at the reaction level, so it's a feedback sheet which the learners ticked right after the training. And it's a lot about, did you like it, satisfaction, but also about, could you connect to the topic, So we saw that students participated actually in lively discussions, so they liked it, and they said, oh, that was really good. Participants said that they could apply, or that they applied and adapted and transferred the learning material to their own discipline. That some students did not feel stimulated by the learning session. And we actually got the result that small groups, short units, and participants with the same language reduced learning barriers. The overall feedback to all to all the units was quite positive. Yeah, so they were satisfied with or they liked these learning sessions. And the lowest feedback we got right after the sessions was the practical relevance. So a lot of our students said, this was nice, this was lovely, but actually I don't need it. Yeah? What shall I do with this? And this really got us thinking, because if somebody can't see why they are doing this, we know from educational theory that everything goes wrong. So what we did actually, I'm just going to jump now to the second point. From year 2020 on, we divided the program into a research education program, where we went on with our program with the European Code of Conduct, with the topics research procedure, research environment, collaborative work in research, FAIR principles, and so on and so on. And we developed a new learning series called Citizen Education. And there it was about why is reliable research important for society, for you as a citizen. So we tried to show it in this graphic. So we have on the right side here the classical research producing side, and we have here the society side where it's about trust and it's about social progress and where we need the reliable information. When we looked at the learning output, so we had the normal socio-demographic variables, only one hit. Only age showed us, okay, as older the people are, the better they are in answering the research integrity questions and in justifying why it is important to have research integrity in place. We also saw, because we have a 4-tier test, we also saw that males are more confident in their research integrity answers. So what we did is they had to give the answer, and after the answer we always asked them, okay, how sure are you about this answer? So this actually confirms gender studies. So we know the same, but males are a bit more confident in their answers. And now it was surprising after 2020 when we introduced the citizen education training, especially for secondary school students, but also for bachelor and masters. This training always got better feedback. So they said, okay, I know why I was there, and it was useful for me. It was useful to know that we need reliable research results. And they got interested, so they started to asking questions. So, Also, we saw that participants all over the place know more about general content, actually. They were quite good in research procedures, and less about specific content as FAIR principles. Of course, it's new, but it was surprising how low FAIR principle actually ranked. We used come to an agreement as an active part, and this in several units, and this way to teach and to learn was rated really high, and the learning outputs were high in these sessions too. We tried to explain it. Why? Because these come to an agreement. They explained that it is, you already do what you have to learn. So you do the collaboration in the classroom. And that's why they actually connected it as connected it as relevant, and the learning output was high. So all this together, we said, okay, it seems that practical relevance might be an indicator for successful RI training. When we look now at the interviews we did, or the focus groups we did 6 months later, we see that master students actually did not identify themselves as researchers. Many of them said, I'm not a researcher. I do not want to be a researcher. Why am I in this class? So actually the training remained quite meaningless to them. And they thought they know a lot about research integrity and research procedures, and they were quite annoyed by the training. Because they had to do it. Yeah? They were like, oh, we don't know. Nevertheless, in practice, in talking, you could see that they didn't align their talking with principles of research integrity. They aligned their talking with principles like quick graduation. Yeah, I think you all know that. Undergraduates related less to our eye training. This is also not a surprise in comparison to established. But, and now this is interesting, we had one group, it was a big group, of highly gifted undergraduates. And they were already in research practice. They were doing their research. And they were in our research integrity training. And with this group, everything changed. So what showed us, it's not age, actually, and it's not how far they are, it's that they could connect the training to what they were doing. They know why it is good. So this group succeeded everything, They had the highest learning output. They gave, in the focus group, it was wonderful to read, But what it showed us is I'm often asked, okay, what do you think? Would it be good to start research integrity training in the master level? Do you think it's better at the PhD level, or should we start at the bachelor level? So my answer right now is, it depends. As soon as your students start with research, you should add research integrity training. And it depends in which country you are in. Some of them already start in secondary or in high schools, and then we should also start with research integrity training in secondary high schools. So to sum up, so there's a lot of other information in the Path to Integrity project from different fields, but to sum up these main contents is, keep in mind research education and citizen education are two overarching themes in the research integrity training field. Practical relevance seems to be an indicator of successful research integrity training. Learners in the Path to Integrity training stated a disconnection between their everyday life and the content of their research integrity training. And citizen education training in Path to Integrity had often better feedback than the research education training. And of course, at the end, the research integrity training is meaningful for learners when they have research practice. Again, it is quite simple, but I actually think we should take this into the future. And we also should take this into the future when questions arise, okay, what is the main purpose of the research integrity training? What do we want to do? I know that virtue has a completely different angle than we from Path to Integrity have, and even integrity has a different angle. I think we all want to go into the same direction, but it's a broad field. Actually, I am with Lex. I think we should have 3-4 points where we all agree on, but still, this citizen education. I know this is not, I don't think it's the question in here, but it is a question about in higher education. Do we want to bring our students to be citizens who want reliable research results? And I would say, of course, yes. This is a really important thing. And this other thing here, research practice, I think it is a point when you plan curricula, when you plan new study programs, that you really take care that research practice is before or at the same time as the research integrity training. As I said, this is only a really small part of Path to Integrity. You can have a look at the website and see what all my colleagues did there. I think it really brought us a big step forward. Also the material is there, and all the publications are summed up in one of these pieces. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So there's room for only one question. I'm so sorry, because the lunch is waiting. But during the lunch break, you can ask maybe your questions. So maybe is it okay when I ask Henk to ask his question?
Yeah, thank you. Your question about the purpose of the training, I think, relates to the reason why we are able to do all this research in the first place. Because for some reason, policymakers were able to provide a lot of funding for this type of research because 20, 50 years ago, we were confronted with a lot of scandals and integrity problems. So do you think you will be able to satisfy the expectations of the policymakers to make the funding available? Because it seems to me that your program in citizen education maybe would be more interesting for them than the program on research education.
So they're not so satisfied with me. I already had a talk with them. No, it's okay. Yeah, it's no problem. But I'm completely with you. It's an interesting question why they put so much money into this field. So, and I think actually each country gives another answer. So my perspective from Germany, when I was confronted with this topic of research integrity, education and training, my first response was, is it research? So yes, of course, but that's what we do. We teach them how to do research. Why do we need this double of research integrity or good research? We already do train them in research. This is a German, and it's repeated in Germany a lot. Yeah? I know that other countries have other angles on it. Still, from an educational perspective, it is a difference if you train somebody to do research, if you train somebody to think about research, or if you train somebody to think about criteria of good research. These are three completely actually different things to do. And that is what intrigued me. I don't think that the policymakers had that in mind. They come from a completely different angle. They come from the bad apples, and they want to erase the bad apples. Yeah? And maybe they want to change even the university system. I don't know. I'm not a policymaker. Yeah? But from the educational perspective, it is an interesting question. Yeah? And the question is, can you do research when you do not know the criteria of good research? I just want two more sentences. In Germany, they would say, a researcher is free to do everything she wants. I don't know. Is it true? Yeah, we have historical events where we say no. And I think we all agree that no. Yeah. But it is a difficult question. And that's what intrigued me, and I hope actually that it's going to be supported, because we have to solve it for the higher education sector in a sense. Okay, where do we want to go, and which role do we play in society? And this is connected to it.
I'm so sorry, but we have to go to the lunch.
So I'm following.
Thank you so much for coming to the Netherlands. We also have a typical Dutch present. So
it's a big
thank
one.
you so much.
Thank you.